Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Startup Sense podcast. This is your host, Jonah Lupton. We have another amazing episode for you today. On the phone, we are blessed to have Gary Guseinov. He is the CEO of a company called BusinessHangouts. And what makes this show different is typically we bring on founders that have started a company from scratch and they are now growing it, hiring, innovating, etc. Gary actually acquired this business. I forget exactly when. I think it was April 2015. And now they're growing it. They're converting a lot of the freemium members to paid members and whatnot. But I think he's going to offer an interesting perspective for us. And let's jump into that. Gary, how are you, man?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So what was the date or the month that you guys acquired this business?
We acquired a company in March of 2016.
Okay. And what made you buy that business? What attracted you to it?
Well, we liked the fact that the company had a substantial amount of enterprise users, and it looked like it was just needing sales and marketing know-how and expertise, which my team brings to the table. And so we decided that this would be a good avenue for this particular company would benefit from our expertise, and there were not a lot of options out there where companies would have so many enterprise users, customers, and so that was our primary focus why we bought this business.
Are you comfortable sharing kind of how many users there were when you bought it and how many of them were free versus paid?
Sure. I can tell you more about the free. There was approximately 1.6 million or so, 1.5 million free users, and mostly enterprise users.
Wow.
There was close to 1 million registered users, meaning that we had their contact information, and unfortunately, very few paid subscribers. And so we have since then have substantially grown the paid user base and continue to grow the free user base.
I mean, why did the previous owner not put more energy or emphasis on converting people from free to paid? I mean, did they just not care about revenue, or they just weren't sure how to do it, or they didn't want to push hard enough?
I wouldn't say that they were not necessarily, not successful at this. I would just say that their primary focus was to build awareness, and they were successful in that. I mean, they created a substantive following for the product where you had over, like I said earlier, 1.5, 1.6 million enterprise users have installed the app, and so that in itself is a difficult task. If you went out there and you build a business from scratch and you wanted to create popularity among enterprise users for your product, you would have a very hard time, or you would spend a lot of money, probably tens of millions of dollars. And so, to the extent that we've analyzed the business, and we would have been great if the company had lots of paying subscribers, but that to us was not the only focus in our evaluation process of valuing this business. We've given a lot of value to the technology and also the free user base. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that they didn't do a good job. I would just say that their focus from the start was getting free users, and then later and at some point of the company's life cycle, they were probably going to go after these free users and start converting them. And our expertise is simply that. We are sales and marketing oriented, and we do like the free user base, but we also like the paid user base, and so that's what we're focused on now.
Awesome. No, I didn't want to diminish what they were doing. I mean, I could only dream of having 1.6 million users. I mean, that's an incredible feat in itself. So how much, when you guys decided to purchase the company, how long did that negotiating process take with them?
It was less than 30 days.
Oh, wow.
The terms were very straightforward. We offered a cash buyout with no earnouts. We made the diligence process very simple. We used escrow.com, which is a very popular escrow platform. It's actually very easy to use and fairly diligent. When you buy this is a small business, there's just not a lot of pieces to it, and so if you're diligent and you know how to ask the right questions, you can get a deal done like this, in a few weeks. So, um,
Now, did the,
and there, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's a substantial difference between buying a business and starting one, and we decided to buy the business because we felt that we would have a leg up on anyone who would start from scratch
Oh, for
or
sure.
any. Yeah.
I mean, and you probably would have spent 6 to 12 months and, like you said, a ton of money rebuilding the platform, and then having to go out and acquire all the users. Like you said, you would have spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to get 1.6 million users on the platform, whether they were free or paid. So, um,
Correct.
did those previous founders stay involved with the business, or once the deal was done, they were kind of done, and then it's yours 100% to run going forward?
Um, so there was a team of a few people. There was a small team, and some of the team stayed on and continues to stay on and continues to do a good job. And the CEO did not. It made more sense for us to keep some of the team members and not all team members. And so it was a very smooth transition. The CEO was very helpful and was helpful after the acquisition and continued to be supportive and it was great. It was non-eventful, I would say.
That's a good thing. So I actually heard you a couple months ago on someone else's podcast, and I signed up for the service. And I get emails every couple days from you guys, kind of touting the benefits and some of the premium features. So I'm sure your goal from day one of taking over this business was to convert as many people from free to paid. So what's been the strategy? How are you guys doing that?
So, we have some, obviously the basic tactics, which is targeting, micro targeting, um, creating content around what we do, and more importantly, is creating value. I think there's a disconnect in the market today between what customers want and what they actually get, and more importantly, how they're supported throughout the working relationship with a service provider. And many startups, on your show or other shows, or just in general, when you read about companies, there's a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, and a race to eliminate customer-facing interaction, which is how to automate everything. And there's robotics, and there's bots, and there's automation, there's AI. But the reality is that a lot of enterprise clients don't want to talk to a machine. They want to talk to a human being. And a lot of times the technology gets complicated and utility goes down. If your utility of your product goes down, then your ARPU goes down, your lifetime value goes down, attrition goes up, and those are not the things that you want, obviously, to happen to your business. And so we've added more human element to our business. We talk to our customers constantly. We have on Fridays we have a free webinar session where we talk to our top customers and ask new customers to dial in and give us their feedback. And so we have a pulse on what our customers are thinking, how they're using our product. We believe strongly that our approach is the right approach, and because of that, we can create higher value, we can charge more, we can offer ancillary services to our customers. So I think that's the fundamental difference. There's tactical differences. We are, our backgrounds. I used to have a marketing company, an ad agency, early days. My last company, I had over 300 salespeople, and my partner Sean Whiteley has built companies with hundreds of salespeople and grew revenues from zero to $50 million in relatively short periods of time. Our background is sales and marketing, so we understand how to take advantage of low interest and create high interest, and then take high interest and turn the high interest into high value. And so that's sort of our approach. So I think human element is key, and that's probably what makes us different.
Cool. How big is the team right now at Business Hangouts?
We're less than 10 people right now.
Okay.
We're in Los Angeles, Paris, India, Delhi, and we do have an office in Brazil that is part-time occupied right now. So
Okay. And how is the team mostly technical people, or is it like half technical and half sales marketing?
We are mostly technical, but we are building our outside sales organization right now, and then that will probably tip us into more being a sales-oriented business, which we always wanted to become, and so that will probably happen by the end of the year. We'll probably have quite a bit of salespeople here.
Okay. What advice could you give for someone else? I mean, personally, myself and a few other people have thought about, buying existing businesses and trying to fix them, improve them. Maybe do what you're doing is buy a lot of free users and convert them to paid. Whatever the situation might be. What advice can you give to people like myself or any of the listeners on how they should try to find a business, negotiate with the founders? Um, you know, did you guys pay all the money up front, or did you do like a 12 or 24-month plan? Like, how did you guys do it?
So in this case, we paid up front, and it made sense because we believe that we got a very good valuation, but it's different for every transaction. And so we've recently looked at acquiring some competitors, and those transactions are significantly larger than this one. And in those transactions, we are considering various different components. There's earnouts, there's seller carried back financing, there's cash, there's stock, there's potentially derivatives like warrants and options. And so the complexity goes, it's very wide. You can have a very complex deal if the transaction is large enough, or you can have a very simple deal if you believe that you're getting good value and you trust the unit economics of the business, you trust the financials, you trust the legal underwriting. And so you have to be mindful of all these things. And if you're not careful, if you're not aware of the risks, then you should not do it. And it's not for everyone. You can argue that you can invest a few $100,000, and there's plenty of entrepreneurs that have invested a few $100,000 and have turned them in that money into tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. I have friends that have done that, so that's not a fantasy. At the same time, there are plenty of stories of small businesses being acquired and turned into bigger businesses, and so I think you have to look at it from several points. One is, do you want immediate cash flow? Do you need to draw a salary right away, or are you willing to wait and let the business mature? Those are the questions you have to ask. And then, how much money do you have to work with? And then, more importantly, if you don't have enough money and you want to leverage an acquisition, do you have capital lined up from a bank or friends and family that will either give you a loan or some kind of a leverage against the business so that you don't have to put all your money to work. And so these are all highly, you can debate either way, which is one better than the other, but both work. There have been plenty of transactions done this way in a micro sort of valuation space of less than $1 million. There are thousands of transactions done, and probably on a daily basis, and so it's very lucrative, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who understands how to do it and wants to put the time in. It's definitely doable.
Yeah, I think it's a market that most of us don't really understand, and maybe we take for granted how many opportunities are probably out there. I mean, there's so many small businesses, so many online businesses. People, they run it for a few years and they get bored, or they want to, whatever the case might be, they're just looking to sell it. And there is this big market of buyers and sellers that I don't think most of us have access to, or we don't really know where to go. And I've seen a few online, oh crap, I forget the name of the one that I'm thinking of.
Biz by Sell.
Yeah, that's one. And then crap, there's another one too. But so there's a few of them that pop up that are kind of like auction sites, I guess, right? Where you're buying the website, the customers, maybe the email list and the social media account and everything kind of bundled up together.
There's quite a bit, and you can also look at the other area I would look at is maybe it's not so obvious, which is the incubator and the accelerator companies, and particularly because I would say that 80% of those companies that are incubated don't go anywhere. They kind of stay flat, and most go out of business. And so I would say that one of the primary reasons why they go out of business or don't grow is because the founders don't have sort of the skills and the know-how to market and scale their business. They're maybe sitting on very favorable unit economics and maybe very good technology. But if that business doesn't get any traction, it becomes sort of lost in the in the field of all the other technology companies. And so if you have access to incubators and you can get access to some of the managing partners and maybe sit down with them and say, look, I'm interested in a technology that does XYZ. I'm looking for these types of unit economics, and I want to consider maybe an acquisition. And I think there'll be a lot of them will be receptive to that. Otherwise, they lose them and they get nothing.
This is Jonah Lupton, founder of the Lupton Group and host of the Startup Sense podcast. Are you struggling to find the right tech team to build your company's website or mobile app? Maybe you've developed a product but need help with your go-to-market strategy, including branding and marketing. Well, stop worrying, because my team at the Lupton Group can assist you with all of those needs. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs and startups of all sizes launch and grow their businesses. For a free consultation, you can email me at jonahlupton@gmail.com or visit our website at luptongroup.co. How many businesses have you bought over the years?
You actually have not bought a lot, only a handful. I've done only a handful of acquisitions, and some have turned out to be pretty good, and some have not. And there are a lot of risks associated with it. But I would say that if you value a business on basic principles and understand what you're buying, in other words, if you're buying a carpet cleaning business, you better understand how carpet cleaning works, or at least have a background in it. It's hard to go from carpet cleaning to buying a home alarm system company or buying a technology company if you don't know how basics of the fundamentals of that business operate.
Right.
Stick to what you know. Bottom line.
Right. Yeah. The website name that I was trying to think of before was Flippa. So Flippa.com. I've been on before. They have websites, domains, apps, all for sale. I guess it's how well can you do your own due diligence on some of these companies? If you're a non-technical person trying to buy a SaaS company, there's a chance you get taken advantage of. So you got to make sure you kind of have a technical advisor, I think. I mean, are you a technical person yourself?
Actually, I studied psychology in school, so I'm not inherently a technical person, but I've been doing this for 20 plus years, so I'm very familiar with how most things work. I understand the certain level of coding. I've done my own coding in the past, and so I can get pretty deep into a company. But anything that I don't understand, I have colleagues that do, and I'll bring them into the transaction to help me, quantify the opportunity better. I would say that if you're looking at Flippa and sites similar to those, you have to be careful with sites that generate revenue from one source, particularly advertising. There's a lot of scams, or some of them are fraudulent, straight out fraudulent companies, or some are quasi fraudulent, where they ramp up traffic through bots and other methods that are not legit, and then they sell the business for $40,000, $50,000. The buyer is thinking, I'll make a couple thousand a month, and this could be passive income. But in reality, it's once the advertising networks find out that the traffic is fake, they'll cut you off, and they may even ask for their money back. And so you have to be careful. I would focus more on companies that sell actual physical products. Anything that's shipped, it's hard to fake. It's hard to come up with fake data and lie to the buyer.
When you say product, are you talking more like e-commerce, or are you still talking like software SaaS?
Well, e-commerce first, because like I said, if you're selling T-shirts on the internet, on eBay, for instance, or Amazon, when you show your books, your financials to your buyer, it's hard to lie about those things, because those your books and your financials are going to come from some third party like Amazon or PayPal, and the buyer can log into these systems and check on their own. And so it's not impossible to be ripped off. Of course there's a way, but it's unlikely that the thief will a person who was trying to rip you off is highly unlikely to pursue that path. There's other ways to do it, which is like I explained earlier with the advertising side. So I would say that's the least riskiest, and then SaaS companies that sell business services, the risk you run into there is that the product is obsolete. Maybe the technology is too old. It needs a lot of updating, and even though there are customers that are paying, maybe they're on their last sort of cycle and may not renew. So you have to call the customers, ask them how they feel about the product, whether or not they're going to continue paying, or whether or not they're going to cancel. You have to do that kind of due diligence again in the weeds of the business.
Right.
High
Because
high custom.
I'm looking at one right now on Flippa, and you have more experience, so I just throw this out. I mean, they're asking $7,000 for the website, and they say that they get $2,100 a month in revenue from paying customers with $1,800 of monthly profit. $1,800 times 12 puts you somewhere around 20,000 of net income for the year on what could be just a $7,000 purchase price. I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, just apply the basic logic. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. It's it doesn't get any simpler than that. I think, if you put yourself in their shoes, if you had a $20,000 a year business, net margin business, why in the world would you sell it for 7,000? I mean, you could
Right.
argue a $30,000-$40,000
Oh, yeah.
valuation, even higher
Easily.
than that,
Right.
easily, right? And so if you compare, I always look at these transactions from a point of yield return. If you put your money, if you bought a house or made a real estate investment, or if you invested into a stock, or you invested into a mutual fund, or some sort of an instrument that pays back a fixed return or a anticipated return, you have some understanding of what's good and what's not good. So 1% return is not good. 10% return is average. 15% return is better than average, and 20% return is great. And a lot of venture firms in the United States generate 20% internal rate of return, and they're very happy with this, and their investors are very happy with this. So when you look at a business that's generating, 200-300% return on capital, that you can, you're a genius if you're doing that. So
Right.
why would you sell it?
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree. I mean, there's always you can't ignore the red flags, especially when you're spending tens or hundreds of $1,000s on this stuff. Okay, let's go back to BusinessHangouts.com. So, I mean, it's a somewhat crowded space, right? I mean, you guys have a bunch of competitors. I won't rattle off the names right now. That's not really very nice or fair to you. But I mean, how are you guys kind of differentiating yourself from some of the big conference companies, web conferencing, that have raised tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, or the Googles and Skypes of the world?
Sure. So, to maybe put this in better perspective, there aren't a lot of competitors in this space. And if you look at, for instance, the CRM space and how many CRM companies there are
Yeah.
thousands of CRM companies.
Yeah.
In our space in video conferencing, there's only a handful. There's maybe 30 or 40 companies that are real competitors, and the universe of opportunity is pretty much every business. It was, you can argue and say, 10 years ago that not every business needed video conferencing or webinar platforms, but I don't know of any business today that doesn't need it. And so, it has changed. The dynamics of, and the requirements for business have changed. We believe that video conferencing and webinar technology is the most logical next iteration of, businesses for business to use in terms of creating a symmetrical customer relationship and a symmetrical marketing communication stream. And what I mean by that is everything that's not real time is asymmetrical. Everything that's real time is symmetrical. So, for example, when you send someone an email, there's no automatic or real-time response from the person because they may read that email a day later. So that's asymmetrical communication. If you send a banner ad, through an ad network, or a video ad and deliver it through YouTube, you're not communicating with the customer. You're simply showing them a piece of content. That's not communication. That's just a display. It's a one-way sort of stream. And so with webinars and video conferencing, you have real-time communication. And guess what's real-time as well? Telephones are. And telephones were the most effective means of sales and sales communication, since beginning of telephones. And so we believe that we're going sort of back in time with webinar and video conferencing technology to bring the sales and communication process back to symmetry, back to symmetrical communication. And that's the most sort of effective way to evolve an organization today. It's, collaboration. You look at apps like Slack, for example, that are extremely popular. They're built on real-time collaboration. And so, we are an extension of that, collaborative environment. We are the next evolution, the video and real-time, communication stream. And, competitive environments are fine. I think it's good that, Amazon most recently just launched their new product, new platform for video conferencing. It's going to just continue to sort of propagate the need and innovation in the space. It's great. Our niche, I would say our unique value proposition is that we're very well integrated into G Suite and Google. We are part of their solution. We're part of the Google ecosystem, where we allow anyone who has a Google account to be able to deliver their content from their Google account directly inside of our platform without having to jump out of our platform and grab content from third-party systems. And so if you're a Google Hangouts user, if you're a G Suite user, you will really appreciate our integration capabilities. And there are over 4 million or 3 million businesses using G Suite now and Google for Business. So we're very confident that our positioning in the marketplace will allow us to grow and not necessarily feel the competitive pressure that maybe Zoom will feel from WebEx, or WebEx will feel from Amazon, or and vice versa.
What is there's a bunch of background noise. I don't know, is that a TV or radio or someone on the phone?
You know what? Let me change positions here. Oh.
Should have said something sooner.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. What was that anyways?
It's just I'm in the office and people around me. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. What else can you kind of tell us about the business? I mean, before we wrap up here, what else would you like the listeners to know about you or know about the company? Your goals for 2017, any of that stuff.
Sure. Well, one thing I would suggest is, and I don't want to oversell ourselves, but I would suggest that your users try a product. Number one, if you want to email me, they can email me at Gary at BusinessHangouts, and I'll be happy to send a coupon code from our already discounted pricing. I would say that if businesses, whoever's listening to your program, is looking to scale their organization, is looking to generate more sales, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the people that are listening to your program probably want that. We do host webinars once a week where we talk about our capabilities. But I would suggest that they join and listen to how webinars can improve their sales. A lot of businesses are afraid of webinars because they feel like they have to be the ones, showing their video, and they have to be performing live. And there's obviously reluctance to do that. We can show you how to sort of not have that, how to overcome that fear. Number one, if you want to overcome that fear, or how to have others help you do conduct these events so that you don't have to do it yourself. And so webinars are far more effective in terms of sales conversion than any other form of marketing, and we can talk about that on our free webinars. So please join us, and please sign up for a free trial at businesshangouts.com.
Yeah, I have seen an enormous trend, certainly through Facebook ads, of people marketing their webinars. And I've never really understood what the end goal for them is, because certainly the webinars are always free to attend, but I assume they must be selling something on the back end or trying to get you to buy their consulting or coaching services. Who, in your opinion, who's having the most success with webinars?
You know what? We actually have looked at this, and there are a couple of companies. I think there's a gentleman by the name of Eric Howe. No, Lewis House, if
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. He's one of the bigger
Um,
ones.
he's one of the bigger ones. I think he's also located in Los Angeles. So their model is that they sell training. They basically tell you how to do it, and they
Okay.
have courses, and they explain the whole process from start to finish and how to create a successful webinar. We don't do that. We don't offer a course. We offer this actual software, and we also offer the training. So we go a step further. He doesn't give you or maybe he does. I'm not sure. I didn't buy his program, but I think his primary focus is training. Our focus is the technology, and then we can also train you and show you how to use our technology to basically achieve the same thing that he's offering. Our technology is a little bit different. I believe he uses GoToMeeting, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously we don't. We have our own. But the businesses need to try this out. I mean, if you have Mailchimp or if you're using Aweber or any of these email marketing solutions, think of this as the same thing. We're just another method of communication, but we're far more effective because what happens with consumers now is that when you email them or show a banner out or any kind of form of marketing, they're just tuned out. There's so much out there. There's so much noise, and consumers and businesses are tuning out. And when you have a webinar, you have a captive audience. They're listening to you real time, and they're paying attention to what you have to say. And so you have more of their attention, more of their time, and so you can be effective by communicating in real time versus communicating asymmetrically. I was talking about earlier. So yeah, that's our value prop.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about trying to get into webinars, and I think it's just a great way to connect with the audience and build value and build credibility and trust. And I think in most cases you do need something on the back end that you can sell to the listeners. Um, but okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll end it there. Great, really, great show. I enjoyed having you on. Um, I guess the last couple of questions. Anything else you wanted to share about acquiring a business? Or I guess I should ask, how long do you plan on running Business Hangouts, and what is kind of what's the end goal for you?
So, our end goal is to continue to grow the business, and we don't have necessarily an exit strategy planned. We're looking to provide a good service to our customers, grow the business. We're continuing to acquire new users every day, new customers, new paying subscribers every day. We think there's going to be substantial demand for these products over the next 5 to 10 years. So we want to continue to play here. We're looking to acquire competitors. We're looking to acquire technology companies that complement us. And so if any of your listeners have a company that they believe complements us, please reach out. But our goal
what
is,
would be an example of you think of like a complementary technology or service?
well, any technology that makes the whole experience within the webinar better, more efficient, more productive, more sort of more valuable to the viewer. So any technology that fits into that equation. Ways to promote events and
Right. So
webinars.
like
Because
marketing automation, any of that stuff.
marketing automation, that's right. Integration technologies that integrate with third parties and make the experience more seamless. Calendaring capabilities and scheduling technologies that fit into scheduling an event, make it easier to schedule an event, make it easier to organize an event. Technologies for event pages and event signups. There's lots of ways to get users to spread the word and sign up for events and make that experience more seamless and simpler. So everything surrounding. I mean, think about this: when you're planning an event, you have the content that has to be created, then you have to market that content, then you have to have users come to your event page and register, and that there's a registration process. Then there's post-registration communication. Then there's the actual event. During that event, you have content that you have to promote. Then you have offers that you market during the event. And so there's lots of pieces that go into the webinar production cycle. And so anything that's technology that can make that experience for the producer of the event simpler and more efficient, we're all ears.
Awesome. Well, hopefully one of the listeners is running a business like that, and they'll reach out to you, and you guys can get a deal done. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate the help.
Okay, man. Well, like I said, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Amazing information. I think you really shared a perspective that we haven't heard yet. How to acquire a business, how to negotiate the deal, how to pay for the deal, and all that good stuff. So, if you guys do any more acquisitions, feel free to come back on and give us some updates.
Love to. Keep
Cool.
posted.
Talk to you later, Gary. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.